The metallic screech of my Honda's hood being crushed under Jake's BMW echoes through the parking garage again. It's a sound that slices through the usual subterranean quiet, a symphony of destruction he conducts with sickening regularity. Glass from my windshield, moments ago a protective barrier, now sparkles across the stained concrete like deadly confetti. I can smell the acrid, sweet scent of leaking antifreeze already mingling with his expensive, predatory cologne as he steps out, all smooth lines and tailored suit. He pauses, straightens his silk tie, like destroying my car, my property, my peace of mind, was just another Tuesday task on his power play checklist. A minor inconvenience before his next important meeting. Oops, he says. And that same cold, infuriatingly charming smile plays on his perfectly sculpted lips. It's a smile I once adored, a smile that now makes my stomach clench with a frigid, familiar anger. Guess your insurance will have to cover this again. His voice, usually so seductive, now grates against my nerves like sandpaper. I should panic. I know I should. My heart should be hammering against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. I should tremble just like I did the first time he accidentally backed into me, the second time he misjudged a turn, the dozens of times before this very moment. My hands should be shaking, my breath catching in my throat. But something strange, something utterly foreign, liberates me from that familiar, paralyzing terror. It's a memory, sharp and vivid, a memory that shouldn't exist, of standing in this exact spot, breathing in this exact noxious blend of ruined machinery and Jake's signature scent, watching this exact scene unfold with a horrifying sense of déjà vu, because I've been reborn. And this time, I know exactly who Jake Morrison really is. This isn't just another careless act from a self-absorbed boyfriend. This is calculated. This is malicious. And this time, he won't get away with it. My stillness, my lack of the expected tears or frantic accusations, seems to unnerve him more than any outburst could. He cocks his head, that perfect brow furrowing just a fraction. Elena, you okay? You look different. Different. Yes, that's one word for it. I feel the ghost of a smile touch my own lips, a chilling mirror to his. Never better, Jake. My voice is calm, steady, a placid lake surface, hiding unfathomable depths. The cloying sweetness of the antifreeze makes my nostrils flare, a chemical reminder of his casual cruelty. The crunch of glass under his polished Italian leather shoes as he takes a step closer grates, but I don't flinch. Right, he says, drawing the word out, suspicion clouding his usually clear blue eyes. He's accustomed to my hysterics, my pleas, my eventual broken forgiveness. This quiet strength, this unnerving composure, is a new variable in his twisted equation, and I can see the gears whirring in his handsome head as he tries to recalibrate. He thrives on chaos, on my emotional distress. My calm disarms him, and the flicker of unease I see in his eyes is a small, satisfying victory. He gestures vaguely at the mangled hood of my once reliable Honda. Well, you know the drill. Get the claim filed. I'm sure my insurance will sort it out with yours. He always says that, as if his vast network of enablers and fixers will smooth over any unpleasantness. He expects me to crumble, to handle the mess he's made, just like always. The faint vibration of the parking garage's ventilation system hums around us, a monotonous counterpoint to the jagged edges of our interaction. Oh, I'll be filing a claim, all right, I say, my voice still even. I meet his gaze directly, holding it, letting him see the steel that has somehow forged itself within me. And I have a feeling this time things will be handled differently. I can almost taste the metallic tang of unspent adrenaline, but it's not fear this time. It's anticipation. He doesn't know it yet, but the game has changed. The rules are no longer his to dictate. The pawn he's been carelessly sacrificing is about to checkmate his king. He narrows his eyes, a predator sensing a shift in the wind. What's that supposed to mean, Elena? The charm is gone, replaced by a sharper edge, a hint of the menace he usually keeps so well concealed. The air between us crackles with unspoken accusations, with the weight of a past he thinks I've forgotten, and a future I'm about to rewrite. I can see the tiny muscle twitching in his jaw, a tell I learned to recognize long ago. He's agitated. Good. I offer him another small, enigmatic smile. Just that some things have a way of catching up to you, Jake. A subtle promise hangs in the air, a warning he's too arrogant to fully comprehend. Not yet, anyway. The distant wail of a siren, probably unrelated, filters into the garage, a fitting soundtrack to the impending storm. He doesn't know how meticulously I'm going to document this, how every detail will be scrutinized not by a grieving, confused girlfriend, but by someone with an impossible advantage. He thinks this is just another Tuesday. He has no idea this is the beginning of his end. The fluorescent lights above us hum, casting a sterile glow on the scene of his latest crime, and for the first time, I don't feel like a victim standing in the wreckage. I feel like a survivor, armed with a truth he can't even imagine. The insurance paperwork will need to be filed, of course. That's the next step in his tired, predictable script. But the script has a new author now. And I'm about to add a few unexpected plot twists. He glances at his expensive watch, impatience etched on his features. Look, I've got to run. We'll talk later, okay? He starts to turn, dismissing me, dismissing the damage, as if it's already a forgotten footnote. Oh, we'll definitely talk, Jake, I murmur, more to myself than to him, as his retreating footsteps echo. Sooner than you think. And this time, I'll be the one asking the questions. The crumpled metal of my car is a physical manifestation of his disregard, but it's also the first piece of evidence in a case I'm already building. He left a trail of destruction, and I'm about to follow it all the way back to him. The bitter scent of betrayal is strong, but underneath it, there's a new aroma. The faint, clean smell of impending justice. The crisp, official-looking insurance claim form sits on my battered kitchen table, a stark white rectangle against the dark wood. It's identical to the ones I've filled out countless times before, each line a testament to Jake's carelessness, his recklessness, his utter disregard for anything that wasn't directly beneficial to him. The scratch of my cheap ballpoint pen as I begin to fill in the details. Make, Honda, model, Civic, year 2018, nature of damage. Severe front-end collision is a familiar sound, a soundtrack to my misery. But as I write, the words start to blur, the mundane act of documentation triggering a cascade of images, feelings, memories that aren't just mine from this life. They are sharper, colder, etched with the finality of an ending I've already experienced. I remember the sting of cheap wine on my tongue, the night Jake first told me he loved me. His voice, a velvet trap. I was so young then, so naive, blinded by his charm and the lavish lifestyle he dangled like a glittering lure. He was everything I thought I wanted. Successful, handsome, exciting. He made me feel special, chosen. The sweet, cloying scent of the gardenias he always bought me. Now I realize they probably reminded him of funerals, fills my senses. He'd always said these are for my special girl. Special, like a prized possession he could control and eventually discard. The memories flood in, a relentless tide. Our relationship, a highlight reel of grand gestures interspersed with increasingly frequent accidents. My car, always my car. First, it was a minor fender bender. In a parking lot he swore wasn't his fault. The payout from his insurance was surprisingly generous, enough for a down payment on a slightly better car for me, though the money passed through his accounts first. To simplify things. Then there was the time my brakes failed on a steep hill. I'd miraculously escaped with only bruises, but the car was a write-off. Again, a surprisingly swift and generous insurance settlement, orchestrated by Jake, because he cared so much. Each incident isolated seemed plausible. Bad luck, perhaps. But the pattern, viewed through this strange, resurrected consciousness, is chillingly clear. The coffee I'm sipping, usually a comforting morning ritual, tastes bitter on my tongue, mirroring the acrid taste of truth. I remember his face, the carefully constructed mask of concern, the way he'd hold me, murmuring soothing lies as I sobbed about my string of misfortunes. It's okay, baby. I'll take care of everything. And he did. He always took care of the insurance, the repairs, the replacements. He was so efficient, so helpful. Gaslighting, I now understand it was called. He'd make me doubt my own perceptions, my own memories. Are you sure you locked the car, Elena? Maybe you left the handbrake off. His voice, a silken web of manipulation. With a jolt that makes me slosh coffee onto the form, I realize it. I've lived this life before. This exact life with Jake, with the cars, with the escalating accidents. It's not deja vu, it's a full, horrifying replay. My breath hitches. This isn't just a string of bad luck or a toxic relationship. This is something far more sinister, something that ended in that other life with the cold, final impact of metal against metal, and then darkness. The pen slips from my trembling fingers, clattering onto the table. I can almost feel the phantom pain, the crushing weight, the sudden, shocking blackness of that night. The night I died. In my previous life, Jake had systematically, patiently destroyed me. Not just my cars, but my confidence, my friendships, my career. He isolated me, made me dependent on him, all while subtly profiting from my misfortunes. The insurance payouts always routed through him, always slightly more than needed, the excess vanishing into his accounts. He was a financial vampire, bleeding me dry in slow, calculated increments, all under the guise of love and protection. My attempts to leave him were always met with new accidents, new crises that drew me back into his orbit, each one more serious than the last. He always knew how to escalate, how to make me feel like I couldn't survive without him. The memory of his touch, once thrilling, now makes my skin crawl. I remember the last argument, the desperate fear in my voice as I told him I was leaving for good. His cold fury, the terrifying calmness in his eyes. And then, the drive home, alone in the car he'd just had serviced for me. The sickening lurch as the steering failed, the blinding headlights, the tree rushing towards me. He'd sabotaged it, he'd killed me. The scent of pine needles from that tree, sharp and resinous, even now feels too real. And then, nothing. Until I woke up, gasping for breath, in my old apartment, 3 months before this current accident with the BMW. 3 months before my original death date. The calendar on the wall showed a date I thought I'd never see again. It was disorienting, terrifying. I thought I was losing my mind. But the memories were too vivid, too detailed. This wasn't a dream, this was a second chance. A chance to do what? To save myself. To stop him. The pen on the table seems to mock me. Documentation, that's what I need. In my past life, I was too emotional, too trusting. This time, I'm a ghost with a grievance, armed with foreknowledge. I pick up the pen, my hand surprisingly steady. I will document everything, every scratch, every dent, every lie. The taste of the coffee is still bitter, but now there's a new flavor mixed in. Determination. I start making notes on a separate pad, details my past self would have overlooked. The exact angle of the impact. Jake's precise words. The way he avoided looking at the security camera in the corner of the garage, a camera I now recall was conveniently malfunctioning during every previous incident. This time, I'll check that footage myself. I'll get witness statements, if any. I'll scrutinize the police report when it's filed, and as I delve deeper into these resurrected memories, a crucial piece of information surfaces, something I dismissed as Jake's boasting in my previous life. He'd often bragged about his connections in the insurance world, how he could make things happen. I'd thought he was just exaggerating, trying to impress me. Now, a cold dread settles in my stomach. It wasn't boasting. He had a system. He knew people who could help him exploit loopholes, inflate claims, maybe even falsify reports. This wasn't just about destroying my cars. It was about insurance fraud on a potentially massive scale, with me as the unwitting pawn. The slight tremor in my hand returns. This is bigger than I thought. A chilling realization dawns. If my timeline is repeating, then he has a schedule. He always escalated. This recent destruction of my Honda, while significant, isn't his endgame for this cycle. He'll be planning something else, something bigger, something that will benefit him more. And if my death was the culmination last time, he'll be planning something similar for this life's Elena too, or perhaps for whoever his next target is. I glance at the calendar again. I died on August 15th in my previous life. Today is July 15th. I have 30 days. 30 days to gather enough evidence to expose him, to stop him before he can orchestrate another accident, before he can hurt anyone else, before he tries to kill me again. The bitter coffee suddenly feels like fuel, igniting a fire in my belly. The game is on, Jake. And this time, I know all your moves. It started subtly, this new knowledge. The morning after I awoke, in this resurrected life, 3 months before the BMW incident, I'd stumbled into the kitchen, my mind a chaotic whirl of past and present. I'd glanced at a stack of unopened mail on the counter, junk mostly, but one envelope caught my eye. It was from the State Department of Financial Services. Instinctively, I knew what it was before I even tore it open. My license. My renewed license as a senior claims adjuster for Federated National Insurance. Except in my previous life, I was a struggling graphic designer. I'd never worked in insurance. I wouldn't know a deductible from a deposition. Yet the license felt real. The embossed seal, authentic. And more than that, the knowledge flooded my brain. Complex insurance codes, investigation protocols, legal precedents, case law regarding vehicular fraud. It was as if an entire career's worth of experience had been downloaded into my consciousness. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly inexplicable. A gift from whatever force had given me this second chance. My hands, I recall, were shaking as I held that piece of plastic. A key to a life I never lived but now fully understood. The faint, sterile smell of the printing ink on the new license was the first scent of my new, improbable reality. Federated National. That's where Jake had his business policies. That's also the insurer of his luxury vehicles. A chilling coincidence? Or a carefully laid path? Now, 3 months later, standing in the wreckage of my Honda, the knowledge isn't just theoretical. It's a weapon. And I know exactly how to wield it. The first step was getting assigned to Jake's inevitable claim. That required some careful manipulation. Within hours of the BMW incident, after the police report was filed, by me with an unnerving level of professional detachment, I was on the phone with my supervisor at Federated, a man named Marcus Thorne. Marcus is an enigma, quiet, observant, with eyes that seem to see more than he lets on. He'd hired me, this new insurance-savvy Elena, a few weeks into my rebirth, impressed by my miraculously acquired expertise during the interview. He has a habit of polishing his glasses with a silk cloth, a deliberate, thoughtful gesture that always precedes a pertinent question. The faint scent of old books and Earl Grey tea always clings to him. "Marcus," I said, my voice carefully modulated to convey professional concern. "There's been an incident involving one of our high-value policyholders, Jake Morrison. His vehicle was involved in a collision with my vehicle." I paused, letting the implication hang. "Given the potential conflict of interest, I understand if you'd prefer someone else handle it, but I also have first-hand knowledge of the event." Marcus was silent for a moment. The only sound the faint rustle of what I imagined was him polishing those glasses. "Elena," he finally said, his voice smooth and unreadable, "your integrity has never been in question. In fact, your first-hand knowledge might prove invaluable. Keep me appraised." Just like that, I was in. He didn't question how I knew so much so fast. He seemed to almost expect it. And so, the investigation begins. Not just into the damage to my Honda, but into Jake Morrison himself. My cubicle at Federated, a sterile box smelling faintly of industrial carpet cleaner and stale coffee, becomes my war room. The musty smell of old files fills the air as I pulled Jake's history, not just with Federated, but with other insurers, cross-referencing everything. The glossy texture of evidence photos, twisted metal, skid marks, shattered glass from other accidents linked to him or his businesses feels cold beneath my fingertips. There's a pattern, all right. A beautiful, terrible, profitable pattern of destruction and claims. Jake, of course, is brimming with his usual arrogant confidence when I call him to schedule the vehicle inspection and his statement. He doesn't recognize my name as the adjuster assigned. He probably assumes I'm just some faceless drone. "Elena who?" he'd said dismissively. "Yeah, whatever. Send your person. My assistant will handle the details." He still thinks he's in control. He has no idea that the person coming to scrutinize his pristine, barely damaged BMW, the person who will interview him about the accident, is the same Elena whose life he's methodically trying to dismantle. The irony is delicious. I use my impossible knowledge to set traps. The questions I prepare for his interview are precise, designed to elicit contradictions, to expose the inconsistencies in his well-rehearsed narratives. I know the loopholes he likes to exploit, the types of damage he prefers to orchestrate for maximum payout with minimal suspicion. The way his jaw tightens when I ask about a previous claim, one from 3 years ago involving a stolen speedboat that was later found scuttled with its engine block conveniently missing, is a tiny victory. He's good, but I'm armed with his playbook. Marcus remains a shadowy presence. He reviews my reports, offers cryptic advice, his gaze always sharp. Focus on the financials, Elena, he'd said yesterday, handing back a preliminary report. The money always tells a story. He seems to be guiding me, pushing me in the right direction, but his own agenda remains hidden. Is he just a diligent supervisor? Or is there more to his interest in Jake Morrison? The slight hint of something recognition in his eyes when I first mentioned Jake's name still bothers me. The evidence mounts. Financial records showing Jake's businesses miraculously thriving after each major insurance claim. Past accidents with suspiciously similar circumstances to mine. Whispers from former employees, too scared to speak on record but willing to hint at his ruthless tactics. The emotional tension is a constant hum beneath my professional facade. I have to sit across from him, discuss the unfortunate incident with my car, listen to his feigned concern, all while the image of my own death caused by him screams in my mind. The hatred is a living thing, coiling in my gut, but I force it down, channeling it into cold, meticulous professionalism. This isn't about revenge. Not entirely, this is about justice. Then comes the second horrifying twist. As I dig into cold cases, old claims from other companies that were closed due to insufficient evidence, a name catches my eye. A woman, young, pretty, involved with a dynamic entrepreneur. Her car, a mysterious single-vehicle accident, high insurance payout, then another, and another. Different women, different cities, but the same MO. The same chilling connection. Jake Morrison. My blood runs cold. He hasn't just been defrauding insurance companies. He's been killing women. Women like me. He's a serial predator, using insurance fraud as a method and a smokescreen. The bitter taste of bile rises in my throat. The musty files suddenly seem to exude the scent of decay, of lives lost and justice denied. The ticking clock in my mind speeds up. The 30 days I thought I had to save myself now feeling impossibly short. He's not just a threat to me. He's planning another accident, I'm sure of it. His current girlfriend, a sweet, unsuspecting girl named Sarah I've seen him with, her face full of the same adoration I once had. He'll be grooming her, setting her up. I have to stop him before he adds another name to his list. Driven by a desperate urgency, I push harder. I cross-reference VINs, bank accounts, travel records. And then, late one night, scrolling through archived city surveillance footage requests, something only an insider with my specific and supernatural access level could even find. I hit gold. A grainy video from a traffic camera near the scene of one of the previous accidents, one officially ruled a hit and run. The footage is time-stamped just minutes before the crash. It shows a figure, obscured by shadow but with Jake's distinctive gait, tampering with the victim's car parked on the street. It's him. It's the proof I need, the smoking gun. My heart hammers. This could destroy him. If I can stay alive long enough to use it. Because if he's killed before, he won't hesitate to do it again to protect himself. And he's starting to look at me with a new kind of calculation in his cold blue eyes. He's starting to suspect that Elena the adjuster knows far too much. The shift is subtle at first. A flicker of something cold and appraising in Jake's eyes during our last routine interview about his claim. He's no fool, he's a predator, keenly attuned to changes in his environment. My questions too precise. My knowledge of his past claims too detailed. The professional mask I wear is starting to slip. Or perhaps he's just intelligent enough to see the ghost of the woman he wronged, looking out from behind the adjuster's calm demeanor. He's realizing Elena the victim and Elena the investigator are one and the same, and he doesn't like it. The danger escalates quickly. It starts with calls from blocked numbers, silent except for the sound of steady breathing on the other end. Then, I feel eyes on me when I walk to my car after work, the prickling sensation on the back of my neck. One evening, I come home to my apartment, and the air is wrong. The faint, unmistakable scent of his cologne, that expensive, predatory aroma, lingers near my bedroom door. He's been here. A clear message. I know you're onto me. I can get to you. The sound of my own heartbeat thunders in my ears, a frantic drum against the sudden, oppressive silence of my ransacked living room. He didn't take anything valuable, just tossed things around, a display of dominance, a reminder of his reach. But this isn't the Elena he knew. This Elena has faced death and come back. This Elena has an arsenal of knowledge he can't comprehend. My fear is cold, sharp, but it's also a whetstone, honing my resolve. He wants to intimidate me? I'll use it. I meticulously document the silent calls, the feeling of being followed, the break-in. I install hidden cameras in my apartment, change my routines, and start carrying pepper spray that feels woefully inadequate against a man like him. My past life knowledge, the intimate understanding of how his cruel mind works, becomes my shield and my sword. I anticipate his moves, his attempts to gaslight me through mutual acquaintances, his carefully planted rumors about my instability. It's during this period of escalating tension that I find Sarah, his current girlfriend. She's easy to locate, her social media a curated highlight reel of her blissful life with Jake. Looking at her smiling, innocent face, I see my past self, and a fierce, protective anger mixes with the cold dread. I have to warn her, but how? A direct approach is too risky. Jake would know it was me. I need to be smarter. Using a burner phone and an anonymous email, I start sending her cryptic warnings, small pieces of information about Jake's past, carefully selected news clippings about accidental deaths of women linked to powerful men. Just enough to plant a seed of doubt to make her question the perfect facade. The acrid smell of fear is now a constant companion, but it's not just my own fear, it's fear for Sarah too. Meanwhile, the evidence against Jake continues to compile into an airtight case. The grainy surveillance footage is the centerpiece, but I add layers. Financial analyses showing the direct profit Jake made from each accident. Sworn affidavits from mechanics who'd found suspicious, though deniable, tampering on victims' cars after Jake had access to them. A timeline of his movements cross-referenced with the incidents. I work with a feverish intensity, the ticking clock of my own past death date, and Sarah's potential fate driving me. The musty scent of old case files is now mixed with the metallic tang of my own adrenaline. Jake's desperation grows with each passing day, each piece of my investigation that somehow, subtly, reaches his ears. His attempts to discredit me become more overt, more reckless. He tries to file a complaint against me with Federated, claiming harassment. But Marcus, with his inscrutable calm, deflects it. Miss Vance is a thorough investigator, Mr. Morrison. It's her job. The slight emphasis Marcus puts on thorough sends a shiver down my spine. He knows more than he's saying. Then, in a bold move, I turn Jake's own tactics against him. Knowing he's monitoring my movements, my communications, I leak carefully doctored evidence. Fabricated emails hinting at a much larger internal investigation at Federated. One that implicates him in a massive fraud ring that goes far beyond his personal claims. I want him rattled, making mistakes, and he does. He starts making frantic calls, trying to contact his old insurance fixers, unaware that those lines are now being monitored thanks to a quiet word from Marcus to certain authorities. It's Marcus who delivers the third twist. He calls me into his office, the scent of Earl Grey stronger than usual. He lays out a series of photographs on his polished desk. Photos of other women, all victims, all linked to Jake. I've been looking into Mr. Morrison for a very long time, Elena, he says, his voice quiet but firm. Long before you joined Federated. My sister was one of them. My breath catches. The professional veil drops from his face, revealing a glimpse of a deep, personal pain, a relentless pursuit of justice. He's not just my supervisor, he's an ally, a fellow hunter. He explains that my unusual insights into Jake's methods, my almost precognitive understanding of insurance fraud, made him suspect something extraordinary was at play. He doesn't ask how I know what I know, he just accepts it. And it's Marcus who helps me understand the deepening supernatural mystery. He's been approached by others over the years, people who've had strange second chances, inexplicable knowledge always linked to a profound injustice. He believes some souls, those taken too soon by extreme malice, are sometimes given a chance to return, to rebalance the scales. My rebirth, my knowledge, it's not random. It's connected to the other women Jake silenced. I'm not just fighting for myself, I'm fighting for all of them. The weight of that responsibility is immense, yet it solidifies my resolve. The emotional climax barrels towards me. Sarah finally reaches out, terrified, her voice trembling on the burner phone. Jake has become erratic, possessive, his charm replaced by a chilling menace. She's found things, inconsistencies in his stories, hidden documents. She believes me. She wants to meet. But I know Jake. He's cornered. He'll be watching her, watching me. He's planning to eliminate both of us to clean the slate. The ticking clock isn't just for one life anymore, it's for two. My desire for revenge against Jake wars with the urgent need to protect Sarah, to ensure she doesn't become another ghost. Justice, not just vengeance. That has to be the goal. The major cliffhanger arrives like a punch to the gut. I'm meeting Sarah in a crowded cafe, the aroma of coffee and pastries a stark contrast to the fear coiling in my stomach. As I explain the final steps of my plan to get her to safety and expose Jake, he appears, not in person, but his words, delivered via a text message to Sarah's phone, which he must have bugged. A message clearly meant for me. Cute plan, Elena, but you seem to have forgotten. I always know what you're thinking, even your impossible little secrets. My blood turns to ice. Impossible knowledge. He knows. He somehow knows this isn't just a smart investigator he's dealing with. He suspects the truth of my rebirth. And if he knows that, he knows how dangerous I truly am to him. And he knows no ordinary measure will stop me. The hunt has reached its most perilous stage. He's no longer just trying to silence an investigator. He's trying to extinguish a miracle. The air in the parking garage is cold, stale, thick with the ghosts of past transgressions. It's the same garage, the scene of so many of Jake's calculated acts of destruction against me. The very place my Honda met its end under his BMW just weeks ago, a full circle. I chose this location deliberately. It's where his confidence peaks, where he feels most dominant. The echo of my footsteps on the concrete sounds unnaturally loud as I walk towards the designated meeting spot, the scent of old oil and damp cement filling my nostrils. I clutch the small, disguised recording device in my pocket. It's cool metal, a reassurance. I've lured Jake here with the promise of the original surveillance footage, the one that supposedly clears him, the one his lawyers have been clamoring for. Fake evidence, of course, carefully crafted to appeal to his monumental arrogance, to his belief that he can outsmart anyone. He thinks he's coming to retrieve the final piece of his acquittal, to intimidate me one last time into silence. He has no idea he's walking into the culmination of a plan years and lifetimes in the making. He arrives not in his flashy BMW, but in a nondescript rental. Smart, trying to be less conspicuous. But his arrogance still radiates from him like a toxic aura. That cold, familiar smile is plastered on his face. Elena, he says, his voice smooth as poison silk. Glad you finally saw reason. Hand it over. Not so fast, Jake, I reply, my voice steady, amplified slightly by the garage's acoustics. We need to talk. He scoffs. I have nothing to say to you. Oh, I think you do. I take a step closer. You see, I know everything, Jake. About the accidents. About the insurance fraud. About the women. His smile falters, a crack in the perfect facade. You don't know anything. But his eyes dart nervously towards the darker corners of the garage. He's expecting a trap, but not this kind. He expects force, not facts. This is where his confession comes. Believing he's still in control, that my knowledge is just speculation, he starts to brag. He wants to see me squirm, to see fear in my eyes as he details his brilliance. All right, so I bent a few rules, he says, that smirk returning. made a little extra on the side. Those cars were insured for a reason. And those women? They were unfortunate. Accidents happen, Elena. You, of all people, should know that. He chuckles, a dry, rasping sound that chills me to the bone. The musty smell of the concrete seems to intensify, mixed with a new, sharper odor. Gasoline. My eyes flick to a dark stain near a pillar, a canister tucked beside it. My heart lurches. He's not just here to talk. Accidents? I press, my voice deliberately calm, keeping him talking. Like Sarah was going to be an accident? Like I was in my past life? His eyes narrow. Past life? What are you babbling about? But there's a flicker of something there, a confirmation of his earlier text. He does suspect. You know, I say softly, you know I'm not just the Elena you destroyed before. This is it. He believes he's cornered, but also that he has the upper hand. He thinks I'm alone, that this is his chance to silence me for good, this time making sure there are no more rebirths. You were always too smart for your own good, Elena, he snarls, dropping all pretense of charm. Yes, I fixed things. I made sure the odds were in my favor. With the cars, with the women, they were all liabilities, just like you are now. He takes a step towards the gasoline canister. And I'm very good at dealing with liabilities. He actually admits it. The recording device in my pocket is capturing every damning word. Just as he reaches for the canister, the piercing screech of tires echoes from the garage entrance. Floodlights, sirens. Marcus, true to his word, had the perimeter secured, but before the police can converge, Jake moves with terrifying speed. He's not aiming for the canister anymore. He's aiming for me. He lunges, a desperate, wild animal. His plan might be falling apart, but he'll take me down with him. The fourth twist. He tries to kill me the exact same way he did in my previous life. Not with fire, but with brute force, aiming to slam me against a concrete pillar to crush the life out of me. His hands are like vices on my arms. But this time, something is different. That supernatural edge, the foreknowledge, it's not just mental, it's physical. A surge of adrenaline, clearer and sharper than any I've known, floods my system. My reflexes are faster, my movements more precise. I twist out of his grip, a move I never could have managed before. He stumbles, surprised by my strength. A desperate chase sequence erupts through the echoing, labyrinthine levels of the parking garage. He's faster, stronger, but I know this place. I know its shadows, its dead ends. I know how he thinks. He's driven by rage and panic now. His arrogance, his belief in his own invincibility becomes his weakness. He takes risks, charges blindly. The smell of his sweat, sharp and acrid, fills the air as he closes in. He corners me near the exit ramp. "You can't escape me, Elena," he bellows, his face contorted. "I already did, Jake," I pant. "Once before." As he lunges again, I sidestep, using his own momentum against him. He crashes hard into a parked car, the alarm blaring, a fittingly chaotic soundtrack to his downfall. Before he can recover, uniformed officers are on him, weapons drawn. Marcus is there, his expression grim but satisfied. "It's over, Morrison," Marcus says, his voice resonating with the authority of long-delayed justice. Jake, pinned and struggling, his expensive suit now torn and dirty, glares at me with pure, unadulterated hatred. How did you... I just meet his gaze, letting him see the woman he underestimated. The woman who came back from the dead to ensure he faced the consequences. The police lead him away, his furious shouts echoing until they fade. Sarah rushes towards me then, her face pale but relieved. Marcus had gotten her to safety before luring Jake here. "Elena, are you okay?" she asks, her voice trembling. I manage a weak smile. The immediate danger is past. Justice, not just for me, but for all his victims, is finally being served, thanks to the pristine recording in my pocket and the mountain of evidence I'd compiled. Later, as the adrenaline subsides and the garage is cleared of all but the lingering scent of gasoline and Jake's cologne, Marcus approaches me. He hands me a bottle of water. "You did well, Elena." "How did you know?" I ask, my voice barely a whisper. "About me?" He gives a small, enigmatic smile. "Let's just say I've learned to recognize certain patterns in the universe." Some accounts need to be settled. You were given a chance to settle yours, and others. He then reveals the final twist, the one that makes a strange cosmic sense of everything. I wasn't just an investigator looking into Jake because of my sister, Elena. My purpose was a bit broader. Think of me as a guide, someone who helps those who get a second chance navigate the complexities. Guardian angel, supernatural guide. The label doesn't matter. He was there when I needed him. I survived. Again, but the garage, the confrontation, Jake's final desperate attempt on my life, it's all seared into me. This time, however, the scars aren't of a victim. They're of a warrior. The echoes in this concrete tomb are no longer just of his crimes, but of his capture. And the faint, almost imperceptible scent of something else begins to permeate the air. Closure. The aftermath is swift, decisive. Jake's arrest, coupled with the irrefutable evidence I provided, his recorded confession, the glittering jewel in the crown of indictments, sends shockwaves through the city. The insurance fraud ring he was so deeply embedded in begins to unravel, its tendrils reaching into surprising places. High-powered executives, seemingly legitimate businessmen, all implicated. My meticulously compiled files become the roadmap for a much larger investigation. The name Elena Vance, once a footnote in Jake's destructive narrative, is now whispered with a mixture of awe and curiosity in the halls of Federated National and beyond. The experience has irrevocably changed me. The fear, the raw trauma of my past life, and Jake's final violent assault hasn't vanished, but it's been transmuted. It's no longer a paralyzing weight, but a source of fierce, focused energy. I walk taller, my gaze more direct. The world looks sharper, its colors more vivid, now that the shadow of Jake Morrison has been lifted. It's like stepping out of a storm cellar after a tornado, the air smelling impossibly fresh and clean, the devastation clear, but the path forward visible. One morning, weeks later, it rains heavily. I stand by my window, watching the downpour wash the city streets. And I imagine it cleansing that awful parking garage, washing away the last vestiges of gasoline and despair. The sensory anchor of that clean, rain-washed air becomes a symbol of my new beginning. Sarah becomes a true friend. The terror we shared forged an unlikely bond. Her gratitude is immense, but more than that, there's a mutual understanding. A quiet acknowledgement of the bullet she dodged thanks to a woman who'd already taken that bullet in another lifetime. We meet for coffee, the aroma rich and comforting now, not bitter. We talk about healing, about rebuilding. She's a survivor too, in her own way. My career at Federated National takes an unexpected turn. My supernaturally acquired knowledge of insurance fraud, my uncanny ability to see patterns others miss, doesn't go unnoticed. Marcus, before his quiet departure, recommends me for a new specialized unit focusing on complex systemic fraud. It's a purpose I never sought, but one that fits this new Elena perfectly. I can use this strange gift to prevent others from becoming victims. My work is no longer just a job. It's a mission. Marcus's departure is as enigmatic as his arrival. One day, his office is simply empty, his signature scent of Earl Grey and old books replaced by the sterile smell of cleaning solution. He leaves only a small polished riverstone on his desk, a silent goodbye. His mission, at least concerning me, is complete. I understand. He was a guide, a facilitator, and now my path is my own to walk. The desire for simple revenge has faded, replaced by a larger sense of responsibility. I can't forget the other women, the ones who didn't get a second chance. Using my newfound platform, the minor notoriety that came with Jake's downfall, I start to speak out. Quietly at first, then with growing confidence. I use my experience, my knowledge to help other victims of fraud, of abuse, of predators like Jake. The raw, honest vulnerability I share about my own, albeit veiled in less supernatural terms, ordeal resonates deeply. People listen. One crisp autumn afternoon, I do something I never thought I'd do. I visit my own grave. The simple headstone, Elena Vance, beloved daughter, feels like a relic from a forgotten war. Standing there, the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves in the air, I don't feel sadness or the eerie displacement I expected. I feel peace. That Elena died. But I lived. I make peace with her sacrifice, with the life that was stolen, because it paved the way for this one, for the justice I was able to deliver. This new beginning solidifies into a tangible plan. I start a victim advocacy organization, funded initially by some of the settlement money from the federated cases that my work helped expose. It focuses on helping those caught in the webs of sophisticated fraud and manipulation, people who, like my past self, are often disbelieved or dismissed. My rebirth wasn't accidental, it was purposeful. I was sent back not just to save myself, but to become a beacon for others. A final, hopeful twist begins to dawn on me as I listen to the stories of other women my organization helps. Sometimes, in their narratives of narrow escapes, of inexplicable insights that saved them, I hear echoes of my own experience. Could it be? Could there be other women like me given similar second chances? The thought is a spark of profound hope. Perhaps the universe isn't as random as it seems. Perhaps the scales of justice are sometimes rebalanced by those who've already paid the ultimate price. I commit myself to this new path, to finding and supporting these potential echoes, to helping others break their own cycles of abuse and exploitation. It's a life I never envisioned, born from an ending I never chose, but it's mine. Utterly, completely mine. And in a final, quiet act of full circle closure, I buy a new car. Not a flashy one, just a sensible, reliable vehicle. As I sit in the driver's seat, the new car smell a comforting blend of clean plastic and possibility, I grip the steering wheel. This time, I own it. This time, I control where it goes. This time, Elena Vance is driving her own life, and the road ahead, while perhaps challenging, is wide open.